Alright, mi gente, Louie the Boiler Man here. I'm sure you guys are wondering, what am I doing here in front of this window AC unit? So guys, today we're going to talk about how to clean and maintain your window AC. So many of you guys that are living in an apartment, live in a co-op or condo, or you have an old house, you cannot put central AC, you got window units. Guys, it's just that important, not only in central air conditioning, but also your window ACs, guys. These babies need some tender loving care, right? A little TLC, so we gotta do our maintenance. So I'm gonna show you today, step by step, on how to do a cleaning thoroughly and do some proper maintenance on your window air conditioning today. Let's get started. All right, guys, I always tell everybody, safety is first, guys. So first thing you're gonna do is make sure you shut the power to the unit. Just for demonstration purpose, I'm gonna show you guys, this right here is the outlet, or the plug. So make sure you remove this and disconnect it from the outlet. So make sure there's no power going to the unit and it's safe to work on the AC unit. So guys, now that we got that taken care of, first thing is first, you need to make sure you have the right tools, guys. So you always wanna use something like this, a drill. That's right, guys. Make sure you have a drill bit. In this particular case, we're using a Phillips head. So make sure you have a Phillips head. You have the drill right here. Also, by Milwaukee. We also have a Phillips screwdriver in case you can't use the drill. You can always use a screwdriver. In this case, it's a Phillips screwdriver. We also need chemical. Guys, very important. In this particular chemical, it's from New Coil. It's a little hard to see because it's a little ripped up. But you can get that at your local HVAC supply, or you call Louie the Boiler Man. I can let you know which is the best product for the air conditioning. But in this case, we're gonna use this product. It's for the evaporator and the condenser. So it's a 2-in-1 cleaner. So you can use something like this. You also wanna use a sprayer. Sprayer looks something like this. That's right, guys, nothing fancy. You get this at your local Home Depot. Also, you guys wanna make sure you protect wherever you're working at. You don't wanna make a mess, you wanna use a tarp. So, and especially if you're working somewhere that's going to drop a lot of water, chemical, maybe you want to use, instead of a tarp, you want to use an actual garbage bag. And you can cut it, you put it on the bottom, and there you go, you can get started. So guys, oh, and one last thing, you need access to water, which I'm sure everybody has access to water. And guys, it's just that simple. So let's get started. Let me show you what I need to do to get this baby nice and clean. Step number one is we want to clean the air filter. There's an actual filter, believe it or not, inside the unit. My sister Clemente is going to show you. Clemente, show us, please. That's right, guys. You guys can see this is the filter. It's not that bad in shape. Again, it's just for demonstration purposes, but this is what your air filter looks like on your window AC. All of them have it. It may not look exactly like this, but it's something similar. You want to clean this out. Make sure you use a vacuum cleaner or you brush it out with a nice brush. And I'm going to show you how to clean it with water. It's pretty straightforward. You put it in the sink and you scrub it down because you want to make sure it's nice and clear and clean so air could go right through it. Because this is the filter that goes right next to your evaporator coil, and this is what protects your evaporator coil from getting filthy, guys. Now that you finished taking out the air filter, the next step is we got to remove the actual casing in the housing. So you guys can see right here, this is what we call the casing or a sleeve. We got to remove this to get access to the actual condenser coil, which is in the rear, and also need access to the evaporator coil, which is in the front. So guys, you always want to take out the face first, because this is the face. So these things are not screwed on, they're snapped on. So I'm going to show you how to take it apart. And the next step is we're gonna remove this casing. All right, guys, you guys can see we're taking out the screw from the front cover. So guys, on some units they do have a screw and some don't. So typically they have like 2 or 3 screws you gotta take off. However, you still gotta remove not only the screw, but these casings or the front cover is a snap-on, meaning you gotta snap it off once you take off the screws. So I'm gonna show you momentarily how to take it off. You try to wiggle a little bit. You want to be careful you don't break the casing. Sometimes when you work on the AC unit, they can be a little bit stuck, but you may have to play with it a little bit. But typically, they come right out. See, just like this. It just snaps right out, as you guys can see. And then, of course, it comes right out. All right, guys, like I was mentioning before, sometimes these things are a little bit of a pain you have to take out. but remember, they got clips on them. So we're about to get ready to remove the front cover. So we're removing it right here. You guys can see there's a clip that goes right here and also right here. Sometimes you gotta play with it. Sometimes you gotta put a screwdriver in there and wedge it out. You gotta be very careful because you do not wanna break or ruin the actual cover. This is made out of plastic and it doesn't take much to actually break. So guys, not only are we gonna remove this, but you guys can see this right here is connected electronically. So I'll advise you guys to remove the screws here. In this case, there's only 3 screws. This is actually the controller. So we want to make sure that we take it apart, or I should say disconnect it from here, put it to the side. All right, guys, now that we've finished removing the front cover, now we're able to take off the casing. So we got to take off the casing or the body, whatever you guys want to call it. So right now we're going to take it all apart. So we're going to remove these little things right here, and we're also going to disconnect it from the screws on the left, also on the right, and also from the top. And sometimes there are screws in the rear, so you got to pay attention and make sure that all the screws are off, and check. Basically do a quick rundown, a 360 rundown, make sure that all the screws are off and you're able to take off the casing. Let me show you. Okay. All right, guys, so now we get ready to take off the cover. You guys can see the casing. Wow. Now we have access to the actual evaporator coil, which you see right here in front of you, and also access to the condenser coil, which is in the rear. The front coil is called the evaporator coil. The rear coil is called the condensing coil. This is very, very, very important to clean. Why? Because if these things were very dirty on a day that's really, really hot, it's going to be struggling. And the most important, it's going to cost you a hole in your pocket, meaning it's going to cost you money because you're going to run the electric bill. Because what's going to happen, the compressor is going to run hot. It's drawing a lot of amperage. Maybe you don't understand this, but the hotter and the more work this thing works, meaning what it's going to mean to you is it's going to draw a lot of energy. A lot of energy. Energy costs money. So guys, we want to make sure we're also conserving energy. So that's part of also the reason why you want to clean these coils. Not only just to make sure that it's running healthy, it's running well and longevity wise, but guys, we all want to save a buck or two, right? So guys, without further ado, we're going to start getting ready to clean the actual front coil. This front coil, I want to say it's very, very important. Just the one in the front, just to give you a little heads up. So think of it this way. Think of it if you're wearing a mask, right? Just like in the pandemic, wearing a mask. And think of it if it was really dirty. It can't breathe. You cannot have airflow. Same thing happens on a coil, guys. So this is what we're talking about today. We want to make sure the coil is clean. Also, we also know that we have a condenser coil, another coil in the rear. And why is this important to get clean? Because the heat in your room gets displaced outside. And also, if the coil is very dirty, it cannot displace that heat. And guess what? It's going to overheat on a really day that is really, really hot. The compressor temperature is going to go up, pressure is going to go up, temperature goes up, and guess what? It's going to have a stroke, and we don't want that, guys. So take the time to watch this video step by step and make sure you do the job correctly, because you're going to thank me later. So we're going to take off this cover right here. Sometimes you're able to take it off, sometimes you're not. In this particular case, you're able to take it off, or there's installation. So we're going to put this to the side. And guys, remember what I told you earlier in the video? You want to make sure you don't want to get shocked. You don't want to get electrocuted. So of course there's no power, but also understand that water does not mix with electrical components, and we got to protect the components. So we're going to put a garbage bag not only on top of the compressor, but anything that's electrical, just like you see here, the controller. Okay guys, we just finished putting the plastic bag over the electrical components. So now that we're protected, we can get started and start getting some access of water and start actually doing the actual cleaning. I personally like to do the coil cleaning by washing the coils first, meaning with some fresh water first, and then apply the chemical after. Everybody does things a little bit different. It doesn't matter, but I think that's the best way to do it. Also, if you have an air compressor laying around, if you have access to air, guys, it'll be a good idea to get an air compressor and blow out the coil if you can. Because what happens is you don't want to bend these fins. The fins are made out of aluminum, and you want to use a brush. And it's one way of cleaning out this coil, and I'm going to show you guys right here momentarily. So notice that the coil goes this way, but this got aluminum fins. So when you clean it, you cannot clean left or right. You got to clean down or up. In this case, I say down because when this is full of debris, you want to clean it down. And of course, as you're cleaning, you want to make sure the actual fins are not being squished like this, because that's what happens. We don't want that. Because what happens is by you squishing the fins, you're creating a restriction, and you're not gonna allow airflow to go through. We don't want that. So make sure you guys clean the coil up and down. You can use a brush, something similar to this, what we use. We have another brush that looks something like this. It's a little oldie, but this is a special brush that we use in the industry. It's a little screwed up, or in my case, it's a little fucked up. But guys, you guys get the point. You wanna make sure you're cleaning it this way. But I like to use this type of brushes because it doesn't put a lot of pressure on the fins, and it prevents it from actual denting or squishing the fins, which we don't want. All right, guys? So what's next? Next step is we're gonna fill this spray right here with some water, and we're gonna fill it up with some chemical and water. It tells you right here on the actual back of the cleaner, it tells you for something light, 1 part of chemical, 8 parts of water. I personally, every job is a little bit different. I personally like to put a little bit of chemical. In this case, on something like this, it's a small application. So I like to usually use maybe about a third of chemical, maybe put like 2 parts of water. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill this up first with chemical. Then we're gonna put some water in there and make sure it's nice and it's nice and mixed. I mean, you don't have to mix it or anything. Usually that should be enough by you just shaking a little bit and you're good to go. I told you guys, I like to start with some fresh water before I apply the chemical. So right now, Clemente, you can put some water, please. Gently. There you go. And don't be afraid to get water inside here because this already has a drain that goes to the back. So that's what it's designed for. So make sure you put some fresh water here and make sure that the actual drain typically is on either the left or the right. Every air conditioner is a little different. In this case, it's on your right. It's coming draining from here from the rear. So make sure you got good fresh water. Make sure the drain is clean because draining is very important. Because if you do not also remove or clean that drain or clear out that drain in case it's clogged, guys, you're gonna have some water overspilling into your room or into your living space, and you also don't want to collect mold. All right, guys. So we just finished adding some water to the actual coil. Next step is chemical. All right, we just finished applying the chemical. Now we're about to apply some fresh water, guys. So now what we want to do is clean out the coil, meaning remove all that dirty chemical and make sure rinse are nice and clean and make sure that there's no debris, nothing in the coil that's going to create any restrictions. And also, of course, we want to make sure it's nice and clean, baby, because that's the whole purpose of this video, making sure that this coil is clean and ready for summer. All right, guys, I'm excited to show you what it looks like. So guys, this is what a coil is supposed to look like after it's clean. It's nice and clean and it's sparkly, baby. That's right. So now that we're finished doing the actual evaporator coil, now the next step is we got to do the evaporator coil, guys. So we're going to turn it around. I'll show you guys. It looks something just like that, guys. Another thing, a little quick tip. Whenever you're cleaning this, if you do have access, like I mentioned earlier in the video, if you have access to an air compressor, it makes things a lot easier. Also, why do I say that? It's because this is a size that's exposed to the outdoor element and outside, and sometimes you get bird nests, believe it or not. Sometimes you get leaves, debris, and this side is usually much dirtier than the evaporator side. So you want to blow from the inside out if you can, and inside in after you blow outside. I say blow the inside out first because any debris that's on the coil is going to come out, and of course, then you're going to blow inside from outside in through the coil. And of course, you always want to make sure and keep an eye out that on this side of the coil, not the front, not the rear side, but on the other side of the coil, make sure there's no debris or any clean because you're gonna have to do the same process. I know it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to actually do it from the other end, but you gotta get it done because otherwise you're doing a half-ass job. So we're gonna repeat the same process what we did on the evaporator coil. We're gonna do the same process on the condensing coil. All right, guys, check her out, baby. She's nice and clean, baby. That's right, you guys can see, beautiful, beautiful, clean coil. That's right, condensing coil, and also the evaporator coil. So guys, this is what you want to do every year in the springtime before the season starts, or before the summer starts, I should say, because nobody likes to be stuck in the heat. So guys, the next step is put it back together. So let me show you real quickly how to put it back together. And guys, that's all she wrote. So take a look at the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, because this is important. And please share this video because it will mean a lot to us. But if this was some sort of value to you, like it is to me, please leave a comment below because I would love to hear what you guys got to say. And I love to hear what the world got to say. And guys, just another day with Louie the Baller Man. So again, subscribe, smash that bell button. Until next time, wepa!